again, I suppressed it all. Here's the things I do remember. I remember having to look presentable. Like, that was a thing. Like, I remember so many meetings about like looking good, especially when you're wearing letters. Which is like you're like wearing anything with the sorority's logo or name on it, or the official like block letter shirts.
Oh, that was a big deal.
That was a big deal. Hair done.
It was the 3 out of 3 rule.
What was that? What's the 3 out of 3 rule?
Like, you have to have, and I remember I amended that when I was vice president, because I was like, I'm not going to make my girls wear makeup if they have their letters on. But it was like makeup and hair, like you look polished, you have a good attitude, and you're not wearing like you're wearing nice clothing.
Like, look put together.
Like, basically, yeah, you put together. But the verbiage in our code of conduct was much more malleable.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that. I just remember them being so crazy about like hair. At least when your generation of people came and like tried to tweak things to be better. Ours was still very old school, and I remember like hating it. I didn't mind it at first, but then I was like, as things got more progressive around us, I was like, this is not like 2012. I'm like, whatever. So it was like, yeah, you have to have your hair done. They even were like, if you can wear certain jewelry, wear that. I was like, girl, not you trying to make me bust out the earrings.
Not
like
the Kendra Scott.
Right. I'm like, what? So like hair or makeup. And I took it so serious. I'm like, I'm wearing my letters. Like, I got to get my hair done, have my makeup done. I'll never forget. We had a sister that she got kicked out, and now she's a porn star. Shout out to you, sis. Do your thing.
I love that.
I never forget driving past her, standing in her letters, hair and makeup on, smoking a cigarette, and everybody lost it. Everyone's like, did you see her? I'm like, I saw her. She got kicked out, but like everyone was just shocked. She also was doing other sketchy things, apparently, supposedly, allegedly, in letters and just things that, but I hope she's doing well. If you're listening to this, I hope you're doing well, girl. I'm not gonna say your name, but I hope you're doing well. I just remember that. I don't know if we dissolved it when you were in the sorority, but we had some light, like if you were going to be on the first level of the house, you had to look presentable. Do you remember that? Did you not have that?
No.
We had that. So it was like,
we had no pajamas in the foyer.
Okay, that's better. They were a little strict. So it was like, we have a big foyer, we have this big staircase, we have all these floors. And I remember, yeah, it was like, if you're going to be on that first level, you have to look presentable, which is fine. But like, we live here. Like, if
you can't get down to eat breakfast.
Right. Like, we had a chef who cooked all of the meals, 3 meals a day. Like, and if I want to come get my breakfast, I want to come to the bagel bar, I got to go put your full glam, the pearls and glam and Kendra Scott. Like, I don't want to do that. So that was like kind of crazy to me. But then I remember it was like, well, what if we have a guest or like, and there were times, where sorority boys come and they serenade you and all that stuff. And I remember like, I'd open the door and they'd be like, hello to the women of whatever, and hand a rose. And I'm in my pajamas like, what do you want? Like, get out of here. And they're like, we want to invite you to I'm like, get out. But I get it. Like, I, look presentable. But that was an annoying rule to me. And then standards.
Oh, standards.
So for those who don't know, this was the triggering part for me in the Bama Rush documentary. When they start talking about standards, I was like... Oh,
they go into standards?
They do, a little bit.
Okay.
The documentary is very light touch. I wanted the juice. I wanted the tea. I wanted the dirt.
That's like... Talking about standards, I feel like is taboo.
You'll get kicked. Like, you can't say, like, you're just not even allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's the one part of sorority life that is very underground still, of like all of the like rules and like standards literally that we were held up to that were just like so shameful.
So shameful. And even as a grown-up, like, I still have some nervousness talking about. I'm still like, ooh, like, can we talk about this? Like, I'm grown.
That went out of the window for me.
I love that for you, because I'm like, we're grown. We're not in it. We can talk about it. So standards, for those who don't know, in every
I don't pay my alumni dues.
We have dues.
If you want to like be in, like keep.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, no, I said that's a no for me, dog. I can't afford rent, and you don't get my money.
And y'all aren't doing nothing fun. And also, real quick, I looked at like the sorority has gone. I'm not even going. Let me not.
No, that's another day.
Like, let me not, because they gone down anyway. And a lot of level, like every level possible.
Yeah.
Down.
That's Greek life in general right now, though, honestly.
It is, especially again, like Pacific Northwest. I don't know about Oregon, California, like this side of the west side of the US, just it's not as cool as like the South.
Yeah.
Which I approve of. I don't think you need a sorority. Like I get it. And I think sororities need to do a better job. I can go on a soapbox, but I'm not. But standards. For those who don't know, standards, and so once you're in a sorority, if your grades are good and you're well liked and things are good, there's actually positions in the sorority you can run for. I know, like there's like president, and I mean we have like a board, like an exec board,
and a cabinet,
and a cabinet. I was on cabinet for a couple years. Like we have a whole like government like of kids.
We have a self-run or what do they call it? A self-run
government.
Yeah,
literally,
the government.
Literally. We're kids. We had no grown-ups. It's just kids. Like, that's my president. She's 19. Like, that's my, like, what? Like, what's going on?
That's my president blacked out in the bush over there.
Literally. Remember, like, it happens. Like, remember when our other president was selling cocaine? Like, it just.
When I went through when I was recruiting, that was my membership.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
And then the frats were calling us the cartel. I'm like, cool. Love that. We love that for us. But yes, standards. We're a self-government. It is teens running teens. And basically, if sisters would break, we have this whole code of conduct. Again, some of the stuff we were talking about, like makeup and not wearing letters. You can't drink in your letters.
Oh,
and like,
no.
That's a big, you're getting out. No cursing. Like when you're wearing your sorority letters, you need to be the lady, the utmost lady.
The best version of yourself.
Kind, sweet. You're representing the sorority because, someone sees you wearing those letters. And
what did they say? It's bigger than yourself. They always said that.
I mean, they're not wrong, but... And I get it. I remember being, like, ashamed seeing girls in our letters acting crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, it was shameful because you're proud of that house that you're in.
Yeah.
You're proud to be a part of that chapter. And so seeing girls act crazy wearing you're like, this doesn't represent me.
But that you could say the same about, like, when you were working for BuzzFeed, if someone was representing the brand bad.
100%, 100%, yeah.
But this took it to a juvenile level of weirdness that was just, like...
It was too weird. Like,
too
your
serious.
Full identity is in it. Like, this is... For a lot of people, like, this is all you have. It's like, I'm a beta girl. I'm a beta girl. So what are you? Like, okay. Like,
what house are you in?
That was always the thing. What house are you in? Like,
you could have said anything and they'd be like, okay, cool. And judge you off like a random thing that you said.
Right. Like, what am I, if I say, I could say anything.
Yeah.
If I said a certain house, what are you going to say? Oh, that sucks. You wouldn't say it. So don't ask. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter what house, someone says. People are just, it's like, it's giving, you're too into it.
It's giving social status.
That means nothing when you graduate. Let me just say real quick.
Yeah.
It means nothing. Once you graduate and we're all in the real world, I don't care if you were a beta woman. Like, you're working for me. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, but yes, standards. If you break code of conduct, then there's like these standards meetings. They're like in the basement of the sorority. It's literally like court. They literally put you on the stand and they're like, Sister Maddy, Sister Villacruz, we saw you were drinking in your letters. Like, do you want to talk? Like, they make you explain it to this board of people.
No, the thing is, you get sent to standards by someone. Someone sends you to standards and they ridicule you and read you the letter in front of you.
You're right. I forgot about that. I've been sent to standards, at first, I was so good. I was like, oh my God, people who get sent to standards, like they don't belong here. Okay. Towards the end of my career stint in the sorority, I got sent to standards probably twice a quarter. Like, I feel like I was maybe once or two. Like, I was all I started to just, because I was fighting everybody. So, yes, somebody has to send you to standards and they write a letter as to why. So they're like, Maddy really like disrespected the brand by
breaking code. Like, you have to put the actual like
the code number. She broke code 13.1 by twerking in her letters on the president's lap. Like, I like in public, and like you have to like go in. And so you're right. You get to standards. The people, all the court of standards,
and there's receipts.
There's receipts. They have it all. They read the letter. They're like, hey, we're going to read the letter. And mind you, you don't know who sent you till they read the letter. So they get to the end of the letter and they're like, I would like Sister Maddy to be removed. Love, Brittany. And you're like,
yep, that Brittany was literally my shock when I got sent to standards.
Really? You were? Okay, so when I got sent, I knew who it was because me and my roommate had beef, but I knew who it was when I got sent. I would have literally lost my cool if it was like someone and I'm like, you sent me to standards?
My big.
Oh my God.
over something that I could have gotten like kicked out of school for.
I didn't know that. So that is why you got kicked out. Is this why you got kicked out?
I didn't that was when
This is one.
I didn't get kicked out. That was like when I couldn't keep my social chair position. I was on SoPro. And then when I saw the end of that letter, and that was the first time I ever got sent to standards, I was like, oh, so this is sisterhood.
Oh my God. So for those who don't know, once you get into the
Oh,
sorority,
jeez.
totally forgot about that part. There's so many parts I
You
forget.
were almost my big.
Really?
You were my heart sister at one point.
I wouldn't have sent you to standards.
I think you would have probably just been a homie, been like, yo, maybe we do this a little bit smarter and like
Maybe we don't do
or
that.
together. Just kidding.
Maybe we do this together. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's really shitty. Your big is supposed to be like, you know, so when you're in the sorority, once you get in, after a couple months, you get to meet the girls. Then you go through the process of getting like a big sister, and then you're the little sister. And so everything is so like, I hate it. Everything reminds me of recruitment. But yes, you have heart sisters who like link up with you and kind of keep in touch with you and make sure you're acclimating well to the sorority and acclimating well to school. And then after that, you guys kind of vote and pick. I had quite a few littles and they didn't last. And I
remember talking to you once and you're like, am I cursed? Like, why did all of them just leave?
Right. I'm like, what's going on? So then you match and then you get a little and it's like, oh my God, like big sis, little sis. Like, it's like this whole thing. And then you have like a Greek family and you guys.
And then you have boy fam.
Right. And then you have a boy fam. I had like a frat fam with like my like
boy
frat.
big. And
yeah, this is my boy big. I had a boy little. And to be honest, he was blacked out all the time. I don't even think he knew that he was in the fam. Like, every time I saw him, he was just like, whoa. I'm like, hey, what's up, Butters? Like, he was just gone. So anyway, so yes, in standards, they read you the letter, they show you who sent it to you, and then they have to decide like what your punishment is, right? Like you said, it could be SoPro or social probation. That means you can't go to any sorority events or any, like, sometimes we would have formals where you get to go with the date, and like date dashes where you grab a frat date and you guys drink and wear matching t-shirts and those are problematic. Date dashes are so bad.
Yeah.
But when you're on social probation, you don't get to go to anything. And I was on social probation once. And I remember just volunteering to be like the DD or whatever, sober sister.
Yeah.
And I just showed up. And I was like, I don't mind being here. But it does suck to not be able to like be a part of the stuff. So, or you get kicked out or they vote to kick you out. It's like this whole thing. And then they take it to chapter, right?
If you get put under membership review, they take it to the chapter and the chapter decides your fate via vote.
And so every week we have chapter meetings where the whole sorority comes to the house. Some days were informal where we could just come, but we still had to look good. Formal, we had to dress fully up and fully formal. They pack us into the dining room with all the chairs. So the president gets up there. We go through the stuff. We go through who still owes money. I was always on that list. We go through
shame.
They shame. It's basically
shame you.
They're like Sister Jones, Sister Lily, Sister da da da, Sister da da da. You owe $1,000, and you're just like, I was so ashamed at first because my dad, and if anyone who knows my dad and deals with money with my dad, he has the money. He just is like a late payer. He's a cheapskate. He's like, I'll pay it later. I'm like, Dad, you have the money. Just give it. Like, he's like, they don't need it now. Like, he's just very weird with money like that. So at first I was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I'm on the list of like financial whatever destruction. And then towards the end, I'm like, I'm on the list. I'm like, yep, Sister Lily. Yep, he'll pay you on Friday. Like, I just was like, I'm like, there's no shame anymore. But that grades, like they would go through everyone who had certain GPAs. Like, it was just like crazy. And like, as a young person, you feel shame. Once I got older, I was like, whatever. But then they're like, we have some matters to discuss. And they would bring up, so we have to decide if we're going to vote out Sister Maddy. And everyone, it's like, vote yes for this or no. It's just like, and then it's like, cool, votes have been counted. Sister Maddy will be removed from the chapter. And then like you hear some people crying a little bit, or some people have stormed out. I've seen people storm out a chapter when girls get kicked, like other girls get kicked out. But it's dumb. Standards, it's a bunch of kids judging kids. And
the weirdest thing too is that before we have chapter, like when we see the agenda, it'll be like membership review. Like there'll be new business and we're like, oh, someone's getting kicked out. Like, who is it?
That was always the tea. Yeah.
I remember when, I think you were in the sorority still, when one of my PC mates, I don't know what they're called, got put up for membership review and we all wore black and it was like this like dramatic thing.
Okay, so I will say I loved the tides. Again, my first year and somewhat a second year were very like traditional. Like we didn't break rules. Like we were very like, girls would get kicked out for being too drunk or whatever, but we never had anything crazy. The younger generations that started to come in, you guys were fun. I'm like, this is great. People getting kicked out, you guys wearing all black, like coming to a funeral, absolutely iconic. I'm like,
and we saved her.
I love, I'm like, that is the energy we need. And I think as we got towards the end of it, we kind of adopted some of that, like, I don't give a fuck energy, especially senior year. I know who was president, Allie Nunn, God bless her. I know she was just ready to pull her hair out because our pledge class gave her hell.
Yeah,
that whole
I was her
board.
VP.
I recruited
You
her.
gave me hell. Not you, but like Sister Bonwell.
Ooh. So my pledge class, yeah, we were like, yeah, wow, we were like the wild.
No, you guys were like the ones that were like very, like, I feel like the vibe that I got coming in halfway. So you had already been through half of college. Right. And I feel like we came in, y'all were so over it. Like it was just like we came in, because like I remember my PC was like the ones that looked at it, like we hated the PC that recruited us. And we totally skipped that PC and was like, I wish my big could be in PC 12 because all the PC, we called them the shrimps. We like would spam social media and we'd like bully all of them. And like, we were like my PC was like problematic. Like we were the problematic ones. And then you guys were all like, wait, that's the change that we need in the world.
Yes, you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it. So again, real quick note to PC 13. If you are listening, you all are beautiful, strong women. And I don't want you to take this personal. Your pledge class 14 hated PC 13. We also hated PC 13.
So it was like a double penetration of hatred.
Yes. Like on that bid day, we were very upset with the girls who ran home that day.
Oh.
Again, we're all grown now. We're all friends. Love you all now. But, 24, 13, whatever. Yeah. We were not happy with the girls that ran home that day. Our pledge class wasn't. We're like, what the hell went wrong? Because we were like, I feel like our pledge class was really fun. And like, and so those girls that ran home was just a different vibe. We were like, whoa, what is this? And then your pledge class ran home and it felt like mini versions of us. And we were like, oh, they're fun. So I do remember a lot of our pledge class, like skipping the next one and bonding with you guys.
Yeah. And I remember we got talked to about hanging out with you guys because our new member educators said that you guys were bad influences on us.
Mm-hmm. And we were.
But that's what shaped us into who we are.
We were bad. Yeah, we were pretty bad. And then, PC-13 was very, like, traditional. They were
all still.
Still, they were like the pledge class above me. Pledge class 11 was that, like, very traditional. Wear your pearls, wear your letters, be good,
conservative,
don't drink, no boys, conservative. Yeah, and we were like, where the drugs at? Like, and then you guys came, and we were like, where the drugs at? Right?
Where the boys at? Like, literally, like, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So I do remember, I really enjoyed your guys' pledge class. It was very fun. I'm like, that was the pledge class we needed on our way out because we were already over it. We were showing up to chapter blacked out. I remember my pledge class showed up drunk as hell. Like, we were obnoxious. The fact that we didn't all get kicked out is honestly a miracle because we were over it. But, okay, your turn. I'm ready for the story. I am ready. So Maddie, I will say, I remember vaguely pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember like you just weren't there anymore. And I remember like drama on Twitter, because Twitter was hot back then. I remember some tweets going out. And I'm like, is Maddie, did we vote her? Like, it's like a blur. I'm like, I don't remember what happened. I don't remember you not being it anymore. I just remember you just weren't there. And then it was like, what happened to Maddie? It was like this whole drama. It felt drama, but I never knew the real what happened and what happened with you in the sorority. Are you ready to share your story?
Yeah, it's like there's layers. Like, there's so many things, about the sorority, and it's kind of sad to like think about it because at one point it was my everything. Like, I didn't have friends. I came to college. I joined this group that I thought were, the people that had my back and da-da-da-da. And like I said, there's nothing against my big, like nothing at all. Like, I understand.
Do you still talk to her?
No, I mean, like, we don't not talk, but like if I see her out, like, we're cordial. Like, we're just not close.
Yeah.
Like how we used to be. Like, we were besties. Like, she was like, I call her my mom. I told her that I couldn't have a twin because I wanted to be the only child. Like, da-da-da-da.
Oh.
And so I just formed a bond to her that I thought I could like trust her. And everyone goes to college and starts getting curious about things. And I've like never admitted, like I've never actually told anyone out of like the people in the situation what happened, but essentially like I kind of like wanted to dabble in like drugs and da 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 da, and like I wanted to try cocaine. And then I
How was it?
remember I honestly was such a little pussy that like I would only do like a tiny bit and be like, I'm so cool. So I had like a bag of it forever because I like wasn't like the kind of girl that like just dumped it all out and was like, okay, let's do it. Like I was just like, I feel kind of cool because I have this, and it's like I've never done anything bad before. Like I didn't drink before coming here, blah blah blah. I'm pretty sure my big and all of her friends wanted to like teach me some sort of like lesson, and I think they wanted me to be more responsible, which I totally understand, and there are just other ways to do it, especially now as an adult. Our brains probably weren't fully developed then, but basically like my bank sent me to standards
Why?
for the for having cocaine and for like bringing it to a what do they call it? An exchange. There was other girls involved like Maddie White, and like we all got in trouble. I was put on SoPro. I couldn't go to formal. Then I posted a picture with a Diet Coke and it said like why I can't go to formal. Posted it on my Snapchat story.
Not the Diet Coke.
Not the Diet Coke. And then it was just a funny because it was just like at that point I was like, this is so stupid that I'm getting sent to standards. Like, and something that I want people to understand is like standards goes to adults. Standards goes straight to our headquarters. That is on the record forever and ever and ever. Like, unless I were to go burn down our sorority's headquarters and get rid of all of that paperwork, like, really, if someone wanted to dig deep enough into me, could be like, oh, Maddie had like a drug problem in college, you know, like that was like that could have been a conversation that was like a human to human conversation, and that just basically like my trust from that point was like gone. And I had a really bad experience in college too. Like I was sexually assaulted in college and I was just like going through it, and the sorority kind of was something that like I wanted to keep going with in order to just feel like a sense of something. So that's why after that whole thing happened, I was like, it changed my life. I want to be um like a responsible human being. I became the vice president, and then I became president. And then after being president, I was already kind of like unsure about everyone and everything. And then basically I feel like my senior year, like everyone kind of like turned on me. Like yeah, and like I was completely exiled from everything. Even our house mom to the point was like mean to me, and like I don't know what I did. I still don't know like to this day, and I would love to like talk to people about it because it just leaves this like imprint where I'm like, I put so much into the sorority. Like I didn't go abroad because I wanted to be president. I put so much on the line because I wanted to like have this leadership and like feel a sense of sisterhood of an organization that I never felt like I got anything. I put so much in and I didn't get anything back really. And so I just was like so over it. Like there's so much shit that's like I remember when I got sexually assaulted, I confided in my big, and my grades went down. I was afraid to go to class because I was afraid of my perpetrator. Like I didn't want to like see him or confront him. Like it's like you're on campus, you don't know where the person is. All I could think is like, what if he shows up and like da 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 da. So my grades went down, and I actually emailed, and this is my freshman year. I actually emailed because we do have some adults involved. Our what's it called, advisor, and I said, girl, like this is out of my character. I'm like a genius. I love school. I love applying myself, and it's out of my character to like do bad in grade, like have bad grades. But like this leadership opportunity, and that was me being social chair, is like keeping me sane. Like it's giving me a purpose. And she's like, sorry, no, we don't make amendments even for things like that. And that it was just like cut after cut after cut of the sorority, like my big sending me to standards for something that should have been a personal conversation, and then being sexually assaulted, and like being the sorority just being like no, and then still giving back to the sorority, and becoming president. And then remember that, do you remember, were you in the chapter when the girl wrote a 2-page con about me front and back, read it in front of the whole chapter about how I would be like a horrible person? I don't have the like capacity to like lead the chapter. Like I wasn't in the room obviously, but
I feel like it's coming back to me.
that was horrifying. That was embarrassing. Like I worked super hard. Like I went to Chicago with the sorority to represent us at like a national convention, and like every year it was something different. And finally my senior year, everyone exiled me, and I got so drunk they told me I couldn't go through order because I owed like $17 or something from not doing one community service hour or some stupid freaking shit. And I got blacked out, and all the younger girls came over to my house. I lived in Blue Waffle, LOL. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a nasty live out. But they all came over and they opened the trunk and they were like, put your toga on or whatever you wear to order. Like, you're going, like, this, if it's not for anyone else but yourself, like, you know, do this because you did put so much effort in and you deserve, because I took myself out of it. I didn't go to any of the senior events. I didn't go to, anything. I didn't go to my final bar crawl. I was completely exiled from the chapter. And it was just like the worst way to end 4 years of something that like I put so much of my life in. And it makes me look back and be like, I wish I would have put my energy, that positive energy, into something else that gave back to me. And then my desperate ass still, after graduating, wanted to be involved with the sorority still. And I wanted to be an advisor. And they said no. And still to this day, they say, like, they told me I wasn't far enough removed from the sorority, even though there was girls in the PC, 2 PCs below me that were advisors. I was like, okay, like, so it was definitely like a me thing. And then I came out and put it all on the internet when I started my YouTube thing. And I was like, fine, here's my sorority experience from hell. Because if anyone wants to hear it, here it is. Like,
that is crazy, because I do remember then you, going like social media and being like very like sorority whatever, and I was like, I wonder what's happened. So you did finish in the sorority or no, or were you?
I finished.
You did.
If those girls wouldn't have come over and been like, you are not going to not get your alum status because you're a butthurt little, you know, brat right now who decided to get blacked out drunk by herself at 10 a.m. Because, you know, do you remember order? Like, you all go through and everyone wakes up super early and gets really drunk, and then it's like kind of like a death to life experience because you're dying. Like, it's for me, that was like the one thing I looked forward to, was going to order. I was going to go through order as the former president. Like, that was like my time to shine, and everyone was like, no. Like, all my friends from my PC from the day I'd gone through day one with all of these girls, you know.
That's crazy. You're right. And quick context on order. In our chapter, once you get through all 4 years, right? So freshman year is bid day, it's all this stuff. You go through all 4 years. At the very end, right before graduation, it's like when all the graduation stuff starts happening, we have this big ceremony. You wear togas, and it's like you getting your alum status from the sorority. You get a special pin. It's like, it's an accomplishment.
It is.
4 years in one spot is like a lot. And the stuff
that's the most commitment I've ever had in my life.
Same. I'm like, I'm already graduating from this school. Like, that's commitment. But to be with you crazy bitches this long, it's a commitment. So it is a big deal. And you do show up drunk, and it's like you say these rituals and you do all the handshakes and all this cult shit, and then you get, you know, your alum status. And I remember
you move through the sides of the triangle.
Yeah, you have to. Like, it's like it's giving Illuminati a little bit.
It totally is.
Just a little bit. But I went through, I'm grateful for it. It's great, you know, glad to be an alum. But I do remember some years, we had some girls show up to order drunk. We've had people show up blacked out, get kicked out. I've seen screaming matches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is like, get out. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like, it's, and everyone's wearing white, and it's like there's candles lit. It's scary. I'm like, this is scary.
There's like rose petals on the ground. Oh God, when I had to initiate people, because I did the thing, in the thing, with the thing, on the thing.
Oh my God. Maddie, I've suppressed so much. We have initiation. We get initiated like that.
Oh,
like with candles.
With
and
candles, rose petal. Your eyes are closed. You're like on your knees in front of like an altar. I'm praying over you.
You're right. You do have to get on your knees.
Yeah.
In front of the altar.
In front of the altar. And there's like, I only could have my head out of the thing. And
you're in the, oh my God.
You're in a thing.
I have chills. It's so spooky.
It's so spooky.
If only people knew.
If only people knew.
No phones. Like, I can't even show you because we're not allowed to like record because it's ritual.
Ritual.
They've been doing this since 1850, whatever. Like, this is like years.
Yeah. Like the book that I learned to say everything out of was literally like a tattered, like, leather book from like that's the thing that hurts me the most, Destiny, is like, being a person of color who was adopted. So I was raised by a white woman and like a Filipino dad. I'm Korean, like raised by white people I lived in Yeeville, USA, born and raised, like Trumpville. Like I was just so ready to go to college, join something bigger than myself. I was fake sold all this stuff from the sorority. I did everything I could because I've never felt, I do now, and I feel really grateful for that. But at that point, I had never felt a sense of community. I wanted to feel something and I wanted to like join something. And that I think is the biggest letdown. And I think sometimes my emotions take over and it's like, it was horrible and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. I learned amazing skills in like communication and networking. And I can write a good fucking email now.
Yep.
I can talk my way through anything. And I'm thankful for that. But it's such a shame that like the Greek community in general left such a negative imprint on an experience like college that should have been so life changing. And although I did grow a lot, it's like kind of feels like it set me back. And now after college, I had to gain all of this like confidence and figure out what it means to be like a person of color in a true community. And like just
Yep.
seeing all the like systemic oppression that has been going on for years and years, like it's just that's the most disappointing thing is like you put your all into everything that like never once had your best interest in mind since day one. And I think watching that documentary or talking to people that didn't have good experiences, it brings back those feelings of like, and I don't know about you, but I've always kind of felt like an outcast. And I always just wanted to like feel like I belong somewhere. And it's just like,
Didn't
I
happen.
think that's
Just
why like we block it out and push it back is because we want it to be such a good experience. We wanted it
right.
to be everything that we wanted it to be. And some people did get that. And that's so great for them.
No, I still see like on Instagram some of the girls big groups of 10 of them
Yeah.
still taking trips, and I'm like,
Couldn't
wish
be
that
me,
was
but
my
that's
right,
awesome.
it couldn't be me, but like I wish that was my experience.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
yeah,
I agree. I will say my experience leading up to the end of it was fine. Like I graduated, you know, it was fine. It
yeah,
wasn't anything to write home about. I think I'm a bit more disappointed on the other end of like, you know, they're like, these are your best friends for life, your bridesmaids, whatever. And, you know, though that is true, I have been a bridesmaid in many people's weddings, etc. But it's just like the friendships, unfortunately, just weren't lasting.
yeah,
I don't feel that true sisterhood. And I see friends that, again, were in like historically Black or other Asian or Hispanic sororities, and they are like for life, you know, because it's a smaller group. It's like the 5 of us, my
yeah,
line sister, they're like ride or die. And I almost wish I had more of that. It's like, I think in any sorority in college, right? Even just college friends, it's a phase of life. But I feel like we're only friends because we're in this phase and because we're growing up together. And then after that, it's like, what do we actually have in common?
yeah.
Sometimes.
It's kind of funny. All my friends that I'm like really close with are all from a different sorority, like not the one that we were in, but for some reason they're all in the same sorority. And I always think like, what would my like truly senior year when I was like ostracized, like this like Delta Gamma DG like took me in, like I got a
Oh,
stole, like they were like, you might not literally be like our sister, like you were
yeah.
initiated into this, you know, bond, but like from a human level, like we respect you and we understand, and that was like the real sisterhood that I wanted. And now I'm still friends with all of those women. Like I've been bridesmaids in their weddings and da 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 da. And it's like they weren't even my actual sorority sisters. Like those girls reach out to me sometimes and they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, "You tell me."
I didn't know that, Maddie. I didn't know that
Yeah.
DG like reached out to you and like was there for you, you
Yeah,
know?
like Chris, their house mom, like I went to all of their social senior year. Like they truly were like, if you really need that sense of like sisterhood and you're all already our friends anyway, like just end the year on something that is positive and like some with a group of people that do support you and want the best for you. And those people are still my best friends now.
I love that. And again, like you said, I feel like that's what sisterhood's about. You know, at the end of the day, because you can get into it, you can be all about it, you can be judgmental based on you're in this house, you're in that house, or you're not a bottom house, you're not a top. At the end of the day, it's like we're all just trying to make our way through this school. Going to school where we went to school is not for the faint of
No,
heart.
no, no, no.
Like again, we all mainly came from like another state or a city. Our school was like in the middle of nowhere, like the cornfields, like stereotypical cornfields, huge university, frats, keg stands, lighting couches on fire. Like that was the school we went to, and that's a lot for some people.
Yeah.
You know, not myself. I was normal in high school, but I didn't drink. I wasn't a party. I just kind of like, I played sports. I was a cheerleader, but I wasn't like a party girl. So even going to this school, everyone was like, "You're going to that school?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like they were shocked. And I was like, "Okay." And then of course I get there and, then I do become a party person, but it's like, it's a lot. All
Yeah.
of that, we're away from our home. Not to mention, at the school has gotten a bit more diverse, but at the time, diversity wasn't really big,
It's
huge.
still, I mean,
Still not is no, still needs work, but like I'm like, okay, I see some of the videos. I'm like, okay, I see a couple people, like scattered in. But compound that and add to that with, being surrounded by women all the time who are from different places and different backgrounds and maybe don't know how to be a good friend to you. Like it's a lot to go through. So to be able to find another set of women, because I feel like in a way when you're in a sorority you're not taught to hate other chapters. That's not accurate, but it's like your chapter, you're like all about me, like
loyalty.
we're loyalty, we're zebras, we have stripes, this is us. The lions, they stay over there. The hippos, they stay over there. Like, so it's nice to be a zebra and be like, these lions, this den of lions takes you in.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I didn't know that, and I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Delta Gamma.
Yes, no, I love that. Like I was always like, make sure I was like, I was in 2 sororities. Like
That's so fun. Good for you. I love that. Well, any last things you want to share? Any final thoughts? Do you regret joining the sorority?
I don't regret joining the sorority. I think I regret how I navigated it and how I let it become me. I don't think I did enough like self growth, which is, or personal growth, which is ironically one of our, what are they called?
It is. Values.
Values. One of our values is personal growth, and I just grew in the sorority and didn't really like grow myself as a person. I wish I would have been able to balance that a little bit more. I think I learned like things from the sorority that I would never want to give up, like practical life lessons and practical life lessons for like, like my professional career, but I don't regret it. I just wish I did it differently, you know? And I wish I was more like had more knowledge about other kinds of groups and communities on campus. And I think it's important, and I think maybe why less people are joining the communities, maybe people are noticing that and they're joining different communities. Like, when I joined the equestrian team at Leslie, I was like, okay, this is like way more fun than joining a freaking sorority and screaming and dancing and yelling at people and being yelled at all day long.
Literally. And I think to your point, everyone's just looking for belonging.
Yeah.
In some way, because being in college is brand new. It's scary, but everyone does want to feel some sense of belonging. And so, yeah, I think if you're listening to this and you've considered recruitment, or you're in a Greek chapter and you're not happy, or you are happy, like if you're happy,
Slay.
love that for you. If you're slay, like we love the Greeks down. If you're not happy or you're considering it, I always say try it. You never know. But I think at the end of the day, it's about finding a group. Just find a group to join that you can be yourself. I think, like you said, equestrian club felt good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was a part of like some of the college, like campus TV stuff.
Yeah.
That felt really good to me.
Yeah.
Like just find a group with your people. Find your people.
Yeah.
And they might not be in a sorority or a fraternity.
I wish that you weren't allowed to go. I wish the sorority was just 2 years and you weren't allowed to go in until like your sophomore or junior. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the point of going to college isn't to join a sorority. The point of go to college is like to figure out somehow like what career path you want to go to, figure out yourself and like what's best for you. And sometimes when you're siloed into something that isn't best for you, you kind of just, those 4 years were like, you just have to repurpose it somewhere else. And sometimes that's bad and sometimes that's good. And everyone has different experiences, and ours just happen to be a little wonky. But I see girls out there still, I see women still to this day, they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're still rah-rah, good for you. Yep. Like, that is something to be proud of. Like, hopefully one day, like, I'll have something like that. It's not going to be the sorority, but you can find that in something else. And it just is a shame that we got sucked into something that is like so bizarre and weird.
It is bizarre and weird, but I am very glad that our paths crossed because of it.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I love you. You're the best.
Well, Maddie, thank you for joining me today and chatting about this. It's been so fun. Again, I need like a part 2, part 3. I need to get Natalie on here.
Yes.
I want to get Fatu on here. There's a couple people.
Yeah, Fatu will have an amazing perspective of the recruitment process and not getting into a chapter, which we can't relate to that. And so I think I would, the second that I would listen, and I'm
going to reach out to her. Fatu Chains, if you're listening, I need you on here because, I want that perspective.
And she will explain, like, I'm still a little, like, I don't want to say everything because I don't, like, she'll just put it all out there.
Right. Who's going to sue you? Nobody.
Yeah, like, what if I just spit off our original right now? Like, what's going to happen? What, they have to change it?
Yeah.
I always thought about that.
Know. They'll probably send you some type of cease and desist or something. I don't know.
Okay. What are you
But that's only if it blows up. Like, True. If nobody sees it, then, but if, like, everyone reshares it, they're like, oh. I hate that. Thanks for tuning into Swipe Society. Please rate us and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and anywhere else you listen to this podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. If you're not already, please give us a follow on Instagram at Swipe Society Pod and send all questions and inquiries to hello@swipesocietypod.com. Don't forget, we drop new episodes every Wednesday. Chat soon!